Hello, everyone. So we are back again. This is the second show, Standing Together Against Child Abuse and Neglect. We are back again to talk about the subject of the role of fathers in promoting the well-being of children. And for this evening, our concentration will be on children between 0 to 10. So please participate. Let's do this together. Ask your questions. We need your contributions. We are all learning. Yes. So we've got our panel members here. And as we usually do, each person would introduce themselves. So we would start off with Ejiro.
So my name is Ijaro Akin-Relly, and I'm a qualified social worker for over 15 years, working within children and families. So fathers' involvement, positive fathers' involvement is one of our passion, really, as professionals. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. We would go to Kofi.
Yeah, hello. I'm Kofi Owusukumi. I'm a school teacher and a middle manager in school as well. So as a teacher, our passion is for the kids to achieve their potential. And in doing so, we work closely with parents to achieve this. So I'm in the right place to talk about different strategies for parents to help their children, especially for dads, to help kids to achieve their potential. Thank you.
Thank you. We'd go to Helios, Reverend McCarthy. Oh, you're on mute.
Okay, sorry about that. So, hi, my name is Helios McCaffrey W. I'm a Reverend Minister. I also have some background in social work, which I used to do some few years ago, and I believe I still do it even in my capacity presently as a minister of the gospel, maybe in a very different way. So I'm glad to be here. Hope today we'll all learn and become better people. Thank you.
So thank you, everyone. So we'll zoom right in. The last time we met, we touched on the subjects of fathers and the role of the role they play in the well-being, in promoting the well-being of children. So, and the last time we kind of talked about Ejiro started us off to look at the subject of fatherhood. So, what do we mean by fatherhood? And she did rightly explain that we are looking at not just a biological father, we are also looking at a father figure. So in situations whereby somebody would say that, okay, so my child's father is not around at all, how does my child benefit from having that positive role model in his life or her life? So how do we go about it? And that was why Ejiro rightly explained that we are looking at a father figure. So a father figure could be, your brother. A father figure could be even your, the biological father's, brother, or something of the sort. So it is a male figure, or it could even be a close friend to the family. So yeah, that male figure is what we're talking about. And again, we mentioned last time that the father figure, in the child's life supports the child's identity. And because the child's identity is made up of the mom and the dad. And that is why it's also important that the father is, part of, the child's life. We again talked about gender roles and how, the boy child would perceive the dad in terms of he himself being a boy and growing up to be a man, and in terms of the girl, how the girl perceives men in general, and in terms of the girl when she grows up to be an adult herself and looking to choose her life partner, she'll be looking out for what she needs to see in a man as a life partner. So we looked at all that, and again within that we also mentioned about the fact that when you have an absent father, how do you introduce an absent father to a child? So if a child hasn't seen his or her father for, let's say, forever or for many years, how do we then initiate the contact for the father to be involved in the child's life? And we did mention one key thing here, that it is important that, the child is involved within that discussion. the child's wishes and feelings should be respected, and it should be according to the child's pace. We cannot just come and impose the father on the child. So the child's voice is very important over here. So we would zoom right into today's discussion, where we are looking at 0 to 10, 0 to 10. And I would like Ejiro to start us off. Ejiro, so when we're looking at the well-being of a child, obviously we're starting off with the well-being of a child, and then looking at how the father can play a role within that in promoting the child's well-being. When we talk about the well-being of the child, or the basic needs of the child, we're looking at a child from 0 to 10. What are the basic needs of that child that we need to be considering?
So in terms, obviously, we're talking about, positive role model of a father who's involved in a child's life from the time the child is born, conceived from the womb until the child is 10 years old. So tonight we're talking about the impact of a positive fatherhood's involvement of a child in relation to the health needs, in relation to the educational needs, the socialization needs, the identity needs, as my sister has said, and then the social presentation needs, emotional needs, and the behavior and routine and boundaries needs. The major thing about how a father's supposed to be a positive father, a father who's positively involved in a child's life, will be able to impact positively the health, development of that child, the emotional stability of that child, the ability to have a sense of self, which goes into identity, and have a sense of belonging, of who they belong or where they belong, race or whatever. So it's important that from 0 to up to 10 years old, research has actually said, proven, that it's significant that the child father needs to involve early, even from the time the partner is in, a wife has conceived, is pregnant. The father should be able to get involved to ensure that he develops the attachment to that child, even though he's not the one carrying that child. What research is actually saying is, once a father who is positive role model can be involved as early as possible, it has positive impact in that child's overall development, including the health. The child is likely to be more healthy, apparently, develop good motor skills. In the US, there's a research going that health visitors and midwives are encouraging fathers to come to the first antenatal classes with the mothers, to come to the nursery classes to the mothers. So it's really, really important that tonight we are promoting. Please, as a father, know that the earlier you become involved in your child's life, the more positive outcome that child is likely to have.
Thank you, Ejiro, for that. That is really lengthy. So we have looked at the basic needs. So yes, health needs, emotional needs, stimulation, boundaries, and guidance, are all important in terms of the child. Now let us move on to Kofi to look at another, in terms of what Ejiro has highlighted. I want us to go more into education, and I know that is your area, Kofi. So if you could highlight more on, in terms of, research is saying that when a father is involved in terms of the child's educational needs, the child has better outcomes. So what are your thoughts around that?
Okay, sorry, I think my connection went. Thank you, Elsie. Yeah, so my presentation is closely linked with what Ejiro has just said about that involvement in children's development, especially cognitive development, which is the faculty needed for learning. So learning here means all-round learning. Both include academic one in school and also general growth and development of the child. And research, as Ejiro rightly said, point to the fact that attachment, although initially one-sided, tend to help the child develop all the skills that is needed to enhance on the mindset as they start to learn things. So growth mindset, for instance, need to be nurtured by the dad, and the dad need to enforce it in terms of the child growing up and letting the child know, learning from different scenarios that they find themselves, and also having the impact of effort put in activities yielding good results. So these are all basic things that a child will learn as they're growing up, and that are the key components here in terms of the partnership between the mom and dad to enforce this in terms of the child growing up. So research, again, I was looking at a paper of 66 different studies in America by Newsweek, which is a daily newspaper, and the research was that dads who are present and involved in children from early ages to age of 15, I know we are talking about up to 10 years, are more likely to have education experience with extra 1 year more on average as compared to a child who is only looked after by the mom. So the impact of the dad here cannot be overestimated. It's very, very important in terms of the child development. Now let's go to the basics of the things that the dad can do with the child. First of all is the home. It's providing that coaching and mentoring and nurturing environment at home, guiding the child without being judgmental at all, without being, insulting and, being so strict in terms of the child learning. So here, the emphasis is not how many times dad is involved with the child, but how is the involvement? Is it quality? Is dad nurturing things for the child to learn from it? Is that presenting scenarios and decisions to involve the child to learn from? And so the quality of the involvement here is the main one. This starts from home. So stay home dads got advantage here, or parents, dad figures who are staying at home have got big advantage in terms of this first one. The second one is supporting the child in educational needs, for instance, homework, and other tasks that need doing at home, from school. Here again, the presentation is such that teachers in school are looking for, evidence to say that a child's educational growth is supported by parents at home. So they'll be looking at reading lists they give them. They'll be looking at homework, written ones. They'll be looking at surveys that are sent to parents, whether they are answering them, feedback that they need from parents. And so all this, we need that to be upfront with it in helping out and in supporting the child and in giving that child that backing to help with the education. So that's the second point. Now, the third point is about volunteering, naturally. So we're here, anything that need doing with respect to the child's education in school, even if they need volunteers, if fathers can, go ahead and then volunteer themselves for different activities in school. This helps with the child's identity, and this also helps with the child seeing the fact that the dad is really, involving in whatever learning that they're doing in school. So these are academic side of things, but these are the things that parents, the dad especially, need to be doing. And what are the outcomes? I mean, we've talked about, Ejiro talked about some of the outcomes, good outcomes that can result from dad being involved. And there are a few here about better behavior. Better behavior in school is sort of underrated, but it's really important. It is the bedrock of learning in school. So we're talking about behavior for learning, which is the child involving in the learning, having their own space to learn and ask questions if they are not comfortable. And here again, we're thinking about and we're linking in with the confidence that the child has. Will the child be able to ask questions if the learning is not going their way? So this all come in with the behavior that is going on in the classroom. Is the child disruptive? Is the child actually know the benefit of the lesson that they're in? Is the child that's sitting down, not involved and being passive? So these are all some of the things that dads can reinforce, at home to help the child to better behave in lessons, which in the long run will benefit the child in terms of as they're growing, building that capacity right from nursery to primary school, and then having the good foundation to continue. So this is the point about behavior. And the next point I have here is all about confidence. I know I've talked a bit about confidence as well. Is the fact that they're able to bring out their own ideas, bring out their own points, have their own, idea that they want to develop as they grow. And this all come out with how engaging parents are, especially dad, how dad is helping nurture the child, and how dad is setting those, boundaries and those, a target for the child. What the child look parents to do, it's not pushy at all, to be setting those boundaries, and helping the child to achieve. So these are some of the benefits that I think a child is going to get if the dad is involved right in the early years. So yeah. So basically, I think I will end here. And mainly, there are plentiful of benefits that a child is going to benefit at that lower age when the dad is involved. Research, body of research is backing this, and the impact is immense. I've just explained a few of them.
Okay, thank you. We've got a question on the screen for you, Kofi. So it says that, please, Kofi, can you explain further what you mean by dad should not be very strict in the child's academic pursuits?
Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, we are not here to tell parents what to do. We're just here to encourage parents, and then inform them of different strategy that works, evidence of research. Now, so what I'm saying by this is a parent can be authoritative, still setting the the scale or the boundaries or the outline. All right, but then still be able to work with the child to achieve some of them. So it will not be right to be so strict, and set a target and just get a child to just go on and then meet the target without coaching the child, nurturing the child to be able to achieve this target that is set, whether academic or social. On the other hand, it's not good enough to be so passive a parent, a dad. You live home. All right, you financially support, but then you are not really into the basic things that the little child needs to be growing. So what I'm saying, my point is, it should be in two ways, and we try to marry the two. And then the best thing there is, set the boundaries there and set the targets there. Explain to the child as they're growing why these targets are important, and help them, to achieve those targets, being academic or social. Yeah, so that's what I mean by it. So it got to be set, but there should be a scaffolding or helping hand for the child to be able to meet these targets, whether it's educational or social.
Thank you. That is really brilliant. Wow, I have learned a lot from that. So yes, the educational needs of the child. Research, yes, is saying that, like Kofi has highlighted, that children who have fathers involved in their education, in terms of the support and getting support from fathers, they are calmer, they are more focused, and they take their education more seriously, and they kind of and then there are better outcomes for them. So that is what we are saying over here. So yes, if you are an absent father, we are also appealing to you. We are also reaching out to you, to think about, the fact that you not being involved in your child's life, the child is missing out in a way in terms of the support you could have offered that child. And if we don't have the biological father in there, we are looking at anybody within the family who is a potential role model for the child, a potential positive role model for the child, who can come in to also be support. So that is also very important. Ejiro, I know that you mentioned earlier on in terms of the emotional needs of that child, and I'm just sat here thinking. So if we've got we've got an absent father who wants to be involved in his child, in terms of bonding with the child, let's say the child is 3, 4, 5, 6. What are some of the things this particular father can do to start building a relationship with the child? I think you're on mute.
Sorry, that says experiences. And also research actually shows that if the two adults, even though they live in separate houses, if they get on, they can co-parent the child. The child's emotional needs, will be it's going to be less affected, basically. So basically, even just contact you're having, at the time you have your sessions, it's what we call building a quality relationship with your child, co-parenting with the other, caregiver. And also other caregiver will have to make sure who is the main carer for that child have to promote a relationship with the father or the mother, whoever is outside, and to speak positive things about the father, to talk about not the things, the adult stuff, but the things that the mother feel that that the child doesn't need to know. So your dad is can do this, will do this for you, will do this. And so if dad is proactive, they should be able to get on together and parent that child, even though they live in separate houses. So that's where contact comes in, building the relationship. But also the main caregiver really has a role to play to promote that relationship in order to ensure thinking about emotional stability of those children, especially even girls are saying that a girl, even though if the dad, even if the dad is not staying in the family home or there's somebody else as a male role model, they're likely to have more confidence in themselves. That sense of self is supposed to be built properly. They're less likely to go and gravitate towards, teenage relationship, on the A sex. So we already have obviously the research out there, especially with babies. You said 3 years old, a 3-year-old whose dad is outside, a mother's supposed to ensure that contact or the relationship is maintained as long as that relationship is positive. You see, and that father can have quality time with the child whilst he's still having contact with the child.
In terms of Reverend McCarthy, I mean, what would your thoughts also be? So we've got an absent father who wants to start bonding with the child, start building a relationship with the child, and obviously, how best should this be done? What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, thank you, Elsie. I think that the challenge is to start. And for me, it is very important to start with a physical contact, being physically present. And I rather want to speak more on the maintaining that contact and that relationship. And thankfully now technology is making it easy for us, isn't it? Like right now, I mean, all of you are in London, I'm in Ghana, but we are connected and we are speaking. And I want to use myself as a personal example. When there are times that I have to travel out of home and I go away for a while, but I keep in touch with my kids. I have a 3-year-old, like you're saying, and so I can really relate. And when I go away, I do a video call, and we speak, and it's amazing. It's like the connection is there. So that medium can keep the contact and the relationship. It's a great tool that we can use to explore, especially when the child can see you and the child can hear you, and then you can go on with whatever conversation you want to have with the child and check on the child. And you can, go on like that. School, how was school? What did you do today? What did you learn today? And I when Kofi was making submission, it reminded me of something that someone brought up in a group conversation. And the person was talking about how it was interesting. Our parents went to a very strange school because, almost every child's dad or mom had told the child that, look, you need to do well because when I was in school, I was first. And I want to say that to support what the submission Kofi made, that the father's role in terms of education is key because children are looking up to people. The children always need a yardstick. They need something to measure up to. They need something to look up to. And so, for me, what I have also personally realized is anytime I'm pushing my kids to do their homework or study, and then they want to run away and go to mom and take some comfort there. And it's vice versa. When mom is pushing them to do, they want to run. So now we've decided we will do it together. So, and that way we box them. So the father being present or absent and not playing any role like that kind of like leaves gaps for the kids. And psychologically, they think that, oh, mom doesn't like me much. If it was dad, he would have been playing with me. So that is also key. But Elsie, like I said, the internet is a great tool. Technology has made it easy that regardless of where you are, you can keep up the contact and the relationship, which is very vital.
Thank you, Rev. And that is really important because in my line of work, social work, some of our families, because of the COVID situation, contact has become really difficult, especially when people don't want, household do not want to mix so much to transfer any COVID infection. So we've been using a lot. We've been using technology, in terms of to help with contact a lot. We've been using WhatsApp for WhatsApp video call, and that has been working really well. And again, when in terms of my experience, when we have an absent father who wants to kind of start having contact or seeing the child, what we have also done is again to use technology. Sometimes, like we said before, the last time we met, we talked about this being at the child's pace. So taking it slowly instead of just you not seeing the child for maybe 10 years coming or 5 years, coming back and say, hello, I'm your dad, and let's go and let's do something, so it's taking it slowly. And sometimes what we've been doing is to, have a letterbox contact. So sharing letters. Oh, I'm your dad, and what have you been doing? Tell me about school. And then following the letters, it then progresses to video calls. So sometimes for some families, we don't just, have contact, like face-to-face contact, just like that. We kind of take it slowly, and video technology has been a big part of this. So imagine the child sat there seeing his or her dad, and then that can create a lot of emotions, and obviously the child has got the mom or some other adults, responsible adults there to supervise and support the child. So yes, technology has been really, really helpful, and we need to make use of that. We've got a question over here, and it's for Kofi. Kofi, over to you. It says that in terms of education, a father who have never had any formal education, how does father support his child's education?
Yeah, thank you. I was going to say, about the previous point about, how dads can be involved with the 3-year-old, for instance, if they were not living at home. I was going to say a point about finance. Financial support doesn't help at all because we are talking about, the child and the outcomes, positive outcomes. And so if the dad hasn't got a formal education to fall on, to support the child in terms of education, you can engage, the services of other people who can help. I'm not just saying get a private tutor. You can involve other people, maybe friends, family, who can support in guiding your child in a good direction. Or you can use, the tools that we have at our disposal these days, YouTube and videos and from different repository online. I don't think you need formal education to be able to source some of this information. If you have older child, they can help in this direction. So, the lack of education should not, prevent us from helping our child at all. When it comes to the actual teaching and learning of things, I've mentioned different ways that you can help. And there are other opportunities that you can use to support your child as well. One, being to school, for parent evenings and for events, being there to support your child. Emotionally, you are supporting the child, and emotionally, you are voting that the child, should get on and do well in school. And so this will transmit into what the child does in lessons, and the child knowing, you being frank with the child, that you didn't have that formal education. And so you are lacking, that knowledge to help them alone will, boost the child, resolve to actually do well, so that in the future they are not put in that same position. So my point is, one, financially, if you can help, or seek help from others to be able to help the child, and be frank with it. So that's what I'm going to say. So it shouldn't be a limitation at all. It should just give you different ways of thinking about how to help your child, apart from you physically, explaining things to your child. And, take that opportunity to learn things. I mean, you can take the opportunity to enroll in adult education and you enroll in other services, to learn literacy and maths, basic maths, and you can be learning with your child, to be honest. So yeah, it's a good opportunity for you to be doing some basic learning as well yourself, and then learning with your child. So yeah, so there are different ways to yet help your child.
Okay.
I hope I said it. Yeah.
Sure. All right then. Thank you. So I mean, I am also thinking as a teacher, obviously, is there any way that school can also support in terms of, can the parent or dad come to school and say that, hey, I really want to support my child. Is there any way you can also guide me to do this? Is there any way school can support the parents or kind of guide the parents or offer some resources?
Uh, uh, yeah, there are opportunities, for school, because through the council, so it's adult education services, or different seminars, or different ways of, enlighten parents on the basic things that they can do to support their children at home. So the school have got systems in place to help parents. We've got parents who the school provide interpreter to when there are meetings. So there are different things that the school support parents to do to help the children. But the school always work from the point that all parents can at least read and write. Yeah. So then it is on the parent to, just make a point to say that, look, I am not in that position to read and write, and so what are the support that you can give me? And I think working with the local council, the school will then know how to approach the parent in terms of getting them involved in the learning of their children. Yeah, especially the dad, if that is the case. Yeah.
Thank you. So thank you for the comments. We've got a few comments over here also. We've got Stephen Asiedu Issa saying, glad to be here. And we've got AJ Martin, who is also contributing to this. We've got Jonathan, we've got Jonathan, we've got Ebusa Achu. So yeah, thank you. Ebusa says that good presentation, good work. Yeah, thank you for the comment. Keep commenting, keep sharing, and keep supporting. Yeah, so Ejiro, we will be coming back to you again. Now, at the onset, you talked about stimulation as being very important in terms of a child's development. When we talk about stimulation, and in terms of a father being involved, actively involved in the child's life, how can the father support the child in terms of stimulation, promoting stimulation?
Okay, so so I think part of this whole studies I've looked into lots of YouTube videos and how it's important when a positive father is involved from early years to ensure bedtime reading. Better taking interest in the reading, bedtime reading, simple things, simple books that the father can buy, share with the mother, alternatively, or they can do it together as, Reverend McCarthy has said, if the children, a little bit older. But bedtime reading, buying the appropriate toys that can stimulate and the cognitive development of that child. Buy appropriate toys that will enhance the skill, either the motor skills or the mental skill or psychological skill of that child. Actually talking to that child, taking part in putting the child to bed, having a bath. And I know there was a radio show, about a year ago. This father came onto the radio, okay, the mother was the one who was talking on the radio, and they were talking, and people were asking questions about how does the mother feel about the father giving bath to her baby girl, or for obviously a 2-3 year old. And this woman said, oh, she's not comfortable with it. So I think we're having this conversation today. And so look, we have to really looking at safeguarding, really. This is what we're for. So thinking about safeguarding and trusting your partner to be able to bath your baby girl, without putting any other thing out, of course, you have to look at the bigger picture and make sure that it's safe. At the same time, we have to be able to allow our men or fathers to be able to do all the things we women used to do. in a safe environment, basically, because research is actually showing that enables that child to build resilience. Even multi-skill, even a young child, because the way a father will treat or even bat the child will be different from the way mother will bat the child. That's what research is actually showing us. So it's important a mother will allow the father from the beginning to also take responsibility of doing some of those caregiving, taking the child for a walk, putting the child to bed, giving the child a bath, and helping the child to dress up. Those are the things that will create that confidence, the sense of security. That's what research is showing, that once a father has early involvement, that child develops a sense of security and confidence to be able to face the world. And it gives the child opportunity to take risk. See, a mother keeps the child and love the child, but the father said, okay, if you fall down, you can get up and take that risk. You see, but we will want to save the child. I said, no, I don't want my child to be dirty or to be safe. So the father's role is very, especially from the early years until that age before they get to puberty, is so significant that we need them to be actively involved. To ensure, to know that there will always be benefit. They also benefit from it. You see, the fathers also benefit because now they know they have a sense of responsibility. There's a joy as a father, because research is actually showing that a father who actually gets involved very early, even from the baby, to testosterone, whatever it is reduced, not because of anything, because now they have something else to look after. They have another human being responsible for. You see, so that is a different kind of fulfillment. I'm sure the men here can testify. They give a different kind of fulfillment in their lives, that they've got somebody else now, to care for, to be responsible for. You can imagine, So if you're a baby girl, a daughter, have a dad who you feel a sense of, I'm safe here. My father will keep me safe. So that's why it's important, really, for a dad to be really involved from the very beginning, as long as until the child is an adult. But we're talking about 0 to 10 tonight.
Thank you. And then we'll quickly move on to guidance, routines, and boundaries. And we know that this is very important in a child's life. And as a child grows up, as the child is growing up, every child needs consistent boundaries in place, consistent routines in place. So in terms of routines, looking at a child 0 to 10, what are some of the things that comes into mind? What do we do? What are some of the routines that we use for our own children at home that we can share with other people? We would start with Kofi.
So I mean, the routines, as I said earlier on, got to be laid down, because the children hoping and actually work from the knowledge that a parent will lay down all the routines and then enforce them. And so with routines with a child who is up to 0 to 10, will be bedtime, that bedtime routines. It will be times for meals, time that they need to have the food to eat, time that they probably have to go outside a bit to playing time, So all these things need to be organized such a way that the child know what to do at what time, and the child knows what to expect at what time. And so this help with the development of the child in general, as we've discussed. And also consistency in terms of routine, making sure that the lay down routines are adhered to. And so the child is growing and learning, and trusting that, the little regulations here need to be adhered to. And also the fact that, when things are agreed on, now it should be fulfilled. So the routine itself help with the development of the child in terms of the activities itself, and also help the child in growing and understanding and then trusting that agreed rules applies. And so it helps them generally to grow and be a person who understands that there are rules and there are regulations and there are time for everything. And so they need to respect all these, boundaries and routines. And so as they grow, so if they start nursery and then they are in school, they will know there's a time to sit on the carpet and listen to the teacher. There will be time that they will have little break for themselves. There will be time they need to do tasks. So the whole world is all about routines. The whole world is all about different rules here and regulation. And so as we start from home, we are nurturing the child in this direction. And I think that's why it's important for us to stand by what we put down as routine at home. And so we shouldn't be abusing the routine that we set. So bedtime could be any time. That is not what we want parents to be doing. We want parents to have a set time that is agreed if both parents are staying home, and so it should be obeyed all the time. This helps the child, to know what to do, what and what not to do, and what time. Helping them generally to organize their own thoughts in terms of their cognitive growing and development. So that's what I'll submit here. Yeah.
Thank you. That's really helpful. Reverend McCarthy, if we have a parent who is struggling and the parent says that her children will never go to bed at, she wants them to go to bed, let's say 8 p.m., so they can have plenty sleep before they go to school. But then she's saying that they don't go to bed and, they want to watch TV the whole time. And then sometimes they go to bed 12 midnight and 1 a.m. What would you advise, or how would you support such a parent?
Okay, so Proverbs 22 verse 6 says that you should train up a child the way he should go, and when he grows, he will not depart from it. Elsie, it simply means that something went wrong at some point. All right. These things we are talking, that's why we are having this conversation and we are capping it at a certain stage. We are talking from zero. Some of these things should start as early as possible. Mm-hmm. And what I want to say to that parent is this. Listen, these kids that we have these days, physically they are kids, but mentally and psychologically, we underrate them. When you set rules and boundaries, they know, but they will push you. They will test you. They want to see if they don't do it, what is next? What comes after that? Some of these kids will just want to blatantly flout the regulation and see what you would do, and that parent would have to put their foot down. You really have to put your foot down and insist it. There are some key things that you can do. Take the TV out, especially when you have TVs in bedrooms, and you yourself as a parent, you put the kids to bed and they are in the same room with you, and their TV is on, or the TV is on. It's not going to make the kids sleep, or they are in bed with their tablets. No, there's a lot of brain activity going on. It's not going to make them sleep. So you need to cut some of those things. Take the TV off, let all the toys out of the bed, let the lights go down or dim the lights. Create that environment that would make it easy for the kids to sleep. One other thing that I had used before is that between the hours of 4 to 5, 5:30 to 6, I engage them a lot in physical activities so that they can get tired, so they can sleep. And the last thing I want to say is you need to make the kids understand. This is one thing that I had to learn in a hard way. Don't underrate them as kids. You need to make them understand. Speak to them as an adult. You need to make them understand why you are saying they should do A and not do B. It's very critical. You just don't tell them do this or don't do this. Why they need to do what you want them to do, or why they need not to do what you want them to do. And then when they push you, you make them see or have a feel of the punishment of not doing what they were supposed to do, and it would work.
Thank you. Ejiro, there was a woman, right? So a mom is co-parenting with dad. So mom and dad are no longer together, but then they are co-parents to raise the children. So the children spend some time with dad and some time with mom. But then mom is the primary caregiver. So they stay with mom Monday to Friday, and then they go to dad on the weekends. So mom is then saying that when they go to that, so mom is saying that I mean she's got good routines in place, bedtime routine, time for breakfast, time they need to get ready for school and have a shower, and so that those routines are there. And in terms of guidance, they are not allowed. There's parental control on all their gadgets, and mom monitors all that. Mom is worried that when they go to father allows them to jump on the bed, sleep at 12 midnight, do everything, do like do the opposite of all that she's worked hard to kind of establish and
Yeah.
teach them. So they come back with their routines all over the place now, and then that is hard work for her. In terms of supporting such a parent, what would your advice be?
So two things. If it's like informal arrangements, if it's an informal arrangement, then you have to go back and communicate with the other party, which is the father we're talking about here. So what I've suggested, I recommended to parents in the past is say, look, whatever routine you've got in place already as a main caregiver, write those routines down and give that to the other family, to the other parents, which is the father here, and say, look, this is the time they go to bed. They don't go to bed. By the time they come back on Sunday night, want to go to school in the morning, they're tired, you see? And if they break that and if they come back and it takes you another 2 weeks to be able to bring them back, I will stop contact. That's the truth. If it's through the courts, I will put it as part of the court recommendation. And this is the routine that this main caregivers got. So once they go to the other family at the house, because children need consistencies, as we've talked about, they need routine and they need security and stability. But if they're all over the place, they don't know where they are, they don't know what rules are, they don't know what the expectations are for them. So that's more reason, whatever the caregiver is given in terms of routine and boundaries, that needs to be written down and shared with the other family so that they'll carry that through. And the children are less damaged then emotionally, you see. So that's why it's important. If it's me, if I'm the parent, the main caregiver, I will stop contact because they have within their right to do that, actually. And so this is not in the best interest of the child. And until the other person can understand, not fight, not argument, understand there's a reason why there is routine in place. If they need help, maybe they're not good at doing or sticking to whatever plan. As Reverend McCarthy rightly said, when you put a plan or a routine in place, you need to follow it through. If there's a discipline in place, you need to follow it through. So if they don't have the capacity, then they need to be open. That's what communication is very good. So even though the two adults are not within the family home, they need to be able to communicate. So like us in social care, call a book, we have a notebook called this that you can be text. So they were here or they are coming to your house today. This is what they did. This is their bedtime routine. This is what they've done. They're not very well today. This is what you need. This is the book they are reading in school. I would like you to share this so you can communicate together with that. So the other party needs to be able to understand we are doing it for the sake of the children, not for our own sake. If the other party wants to cooperate, I will stop contact. Because I know, and I would say it's not in the best interest of the children, and I will stop contact until they can, come to terms with what I'm trying to say.
Thank you, Ejiro. Reverend McCarthy, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's very interesting, Elsie, because I always want to make these things practical so people understand we are not talking books, but we are talking things that are happening and things that we can do. Growing up, I can never remember any single day that my dad lifted a finger or a cane to beat me. Never. Because it was something he just could not do. The capacity was not there. But of course, he would have his other ways of, like he would scream at you and it would make you want to cry. It was always mom who was beating us. I don't know why. It just had to be her. But I see a lot more of my dad in me. Now I'm a parent. Sometimes when I want to beat, it's a very difficult thing, So, like she said, if you lack the capacity, you need to understand that you are doing this for the good of the child. It's not about you, but it's for the child, and you have to find a way of dealing with some of these things. I like that. It's very important. You need to build capacity yourself to be able to discipline the child. And it's interesting, some parents themselves are not disciplined. So it becomes a challenge to pass that on also on the child. So first, you remember that you must be mindful that these kids are watching you. They are learning from you. So if you say, okay, you need to brush your teeth at this time, you need to take your shower at this time, they are watching you. Are you taking your shower yourself? Are you brush? So when they see that you are doing it and you are consistent, they tend to follow up. And so that's a very important point that Israel made.
Thank you. What are your thoughts, Kofi?
So I've Reverend McCarthy and Jiro have mentioned already. Yeah, so I just want to just talk a bit about the fact that some parenting style is like that. I know we're talking about a parent who is not living with the children, and so but some parents who even live home have this strategy of parenting, which is laissez-faire, lay back, and then getting the children, to do whatever and learn from it, But what we've seen here and what we've discussed so far point to the fact that there need to be some form of, checks. There need to be some form of structure for the children. So it can never be that the children right from that, age can, just model through and learn things themselves. That can never be right. So therefore, there need to be, a form of, guidance, a form of, regulation that regulates the children's life, which I'm advocating for. So yeah, a full on, there shouldn't be that form of freedom for the children because it won't help them in any way. Yeah.
Thank you. So we've got Matty over here. Matty, our training and development lead. Matty says that very true. Case copy, so consistency is key. Consistency. And then let us also bear in mind that, children grow to be adults. And if the child has in his or her early years, did not have that, consistency, those boundaries in place, that child grows to be an adult, and will struggle to put these boundaries in place for his or her own child, because it's a learned behavior. The child has learned that, you can sleep anytime you want. And that was his or her experience growing up. So he or she then knows that, okay, my kids can sleep anytime they want. What is the fuss about it? Why are you stressing yourself about they having to sleep at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or wherever? Let them just have fun. So that is also important. And then, like Ojuro said, it's important that as parents, you are able to talk this through. And if you are not able to, come to, an agreement, and, in terms of a safe agreement, then the court is also an arena for you to sort of, sort these things out. Yeah. All right. We are just coming to the end of our program. It's about 8 o'clock now. Well, it's a minute to 8. So we're just wrapping up. Thank you, everyone, for coming on the show. And as we usually do, we will just go round for people, for panel members, just to give one word in terms of, what they want you to not forget at all, if you should forget any other thing. We'll start first with Reverend McCarthy.
Thank you, Elsie. What I want to share, one thing that you shouldn't forget is that whatever you do with kids, consistency is key. Consistency is key. And always remember that they are watching, even when you think they are not. These kids are watching and they will repeat whatever you do.
Thank you. We'll go to Kofi.
My take is this: that engagement is key. It's not amount of time that we are with the children that matters, but the quality of engagement that we have with them, the coaching, the nurturing, the guidance that we give them, the care that we show, not just by saying it, but our actions to speak that we care about them. And with all this in place, it's a good starting ground for your child to grow and develop and achieve better things in the future. Yeah.
Thank you. That's really important. Talking about engagement, it just makes me to remember a time where a child told me that. So that the child sees her dad every weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And the child told me that when she goes to dad, all that dad does is being on the phone and, and talking for hours. So she got bored and told her mom that I don't want to go to dad's place anymore. So engagement is very important. You can be with the person for for the weekend, but then in terms of the quality, the time you spend with the child, if, you're not spending time with the child, then there's no use for the child coming over to see you, because if you are constantly on the phone and you don't have time for the child, you don't talk to the child, you don't do things together, then what is the point? So spending
Right.
good quality time is very important. So thank you for that, Edrio.
I was just going to say tonight, so I think probably we'll need to repeat it. Fathers, your children needs you. Children needs fathers. And I think, research is showing that about 85% of the population of the world, it's single parents, so especially in America, in the developed world. So children needs their father. So no matter how much you're struggling out there, fathers, and you should say, maybe you don't know where to turn, or you're not good at this, know that there's advantage of you being involved in your child's life at every stage. And tonight we're talking about 0 to 10. I hope you will take the help that is needed, however form, to ensure that you take some form of involvement, positive involvement in your children's lives.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Positive
Elsie,
involvement.
can I give viewers an assignment?
Sure.
Okay, so this is a little assignment I have for everybody who is watching us, especially if you're a Christian and you believe in the Bible. See, God did not need Joseph to get Mary pregnant, but God made sure that there was a Joseph in Jesus's life. You know that he made sure, because Bible even said at a certain point Joseph considered not going along to marry Mary, but God made sure that there was Joseph in Jesus's life, though he never needed Joseph for conception. So you think about that, and that should tell you the importance of fathers. Thank you.
Wow. So we've got Mark over here. Mark is saying that aside with Reverend, children copy what they see. I was surprised to see my small girl washing her hands after touching the ground. Wow. Children, research is saying that social learning theory is saying that children learn by observation and modeling of behavior. They observe and they model. We've got Mr. Paul Barton saying that very interesting program. Kudos to all. Yeah, so we've come to an end, and we want to say thank you so much to our panel members, and thank you so much to our viewers for participating, for the questions, for the ideas, your contributions. Yes, and then so thank you everyone, and until we meet again, stay blessed.
Bye.
Bye.